Thailand's army has dissolved the country's Senate and placed all lawmaking responsibility in the hands of the Army General. Now, it also summoned more ousted government leaders. And this comes a day after the military detained the former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and more than 100 political rival figures. We can talk now to Veronica Pedrosa, who is live for us in Bangkok. First of all, tell us about the Senate, because the military had come in, they dissolved Parliament, they had got rid of the government, but they kept the Senate, interestingly.
They had initially kept the Senate when the announcement of the coup d'etat was made. You're absolutely right, Martine, but they appear to have changed their mind in the last few hours, as you say, announcing that the Senate has been dissolved. This is a very significant and serious turn of events. I've just been speaking to a legal expert who said that, you know, within the leadership of the military, there are doves and there are hawks. And what this indicates is that the hawks are ascendant, and that the nature of this military rule is likely to be stricter as a result. Just want to point something else out, which is that three people were replaced in their positions as the police chief, the DSI, Department of Special Investigations chief, and the permanent secretary of the Defence Ministry. They were all seen as being loyal or having good links to the former administration of Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. So they could have provided a bridge between the military and that political camp, but they are now out.
So it seems very much as though the administration of General Prayuth is digging its heels in, possibly for the long haul, isn't it? Meanwhile, people are becoming increasingly frustrated at yet another military intervention into the political life of the country.
Well, I wouldn't necessarily go that far, to be honest, because there has been only one survey of public opinion that I have seen, a Dusit poll, and it was only of 1,000 people, and it was taken before the coup was launched, but after martial law was announced. And during that time, about 70% of those 1,000 people surveyed said that they thought it was a good thing that the military had taken over to bring peace and order to the country. Nevertheless, as you say, there have been several protests in Bangkok, but they're relatively small, several hundred people. The police and the military making a show of working together to act firmly, but peacefully to disperse the crowds. This is the first weekend since military rule began, so people are not at work. They're able to demonstrate at this kind of thing. And there are more protests announced tomorrow, Sunday, another weekend. So let's see if there is more traction there and how those demonstrations are treated.
All right, Veronica, for now, thank you very much. Veronica Pedrosa, live in Bangkok. Well, Thailand has gone from being a global tourist hotspot to a flashpoint of unrest in a matter of months. As Scott Heidler reports now from Bangkok, the military coup couldn't have come at a worse time for the industry.
These are not your normal Bangkok holiday snapshots. Just last year, the city became the world's most visited tourist destination. But that was before 6 months of political conflict leading to a coup on Thursday.
It's kind of sad because I want to see Bangkok, Thailand, Pattaya, but everything is closed at 10 or 9 or something like that. But yeah, it's okay. I'm here and try to enjoy it, Bangkok.
Since the military announced its takeover, more than 50 countries have issued warnings about travel to Thailand. This will no doubt increase losses in the $30 billion a year tourist industry. An estimated $3 billion was already lost during the first 3 months of the year.
This is Waterroon, one of the most popular tourist spots here in Bangkok. And because the coup just took place a couple of days ago, a lot of tourists were already here. But the biggest concern for the industry moving forward is future bookings.
If the current decline in tourist dollars continues, this year will end 40% down from the normal rate.
I'm very concerned about the future because tourism is the first industry of Thailand. Many of my Indonesian tourist groups have cancelled their trips next month.
One of Bangkok's biggest draws is its nightlife. The military has imposed a 10 p.m. to 5 a.m. curfew. There's no indication when it will be lifted. At this club, business is already down by 50% since the political crisis started last November. With the curfew in place, they've shut their doors.
I can't tell about the future. Just try to put all my energy in the club, just try to maintain it, just try to present the great music in the club, and I hope we're going to recover as soon as possible.
But for the smaller businesses operating on thin profit margins, recovery will have to come fast. They need more tourists coming to the sights of Bangkok and fewer soldiers. Scott Heidler, Al Jazeera, Bangkok.
Thailand's army has dissolved the country's Senate and placed all lawmaking responsibility in the hands of the Army General. It's also summoned more ousted government leaders. Now, this comes a day after the military detained the former Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra. Veronica Pedrosa sent us this report from Bangkok.
The military leader and acting Prime Minister, General Prayuth Chan-o-cha, with his assumption of all legislative powers in the military government, is indicating the nature of how strict the military rule is going to be. Since the coup was launched on Thursday, we have heard from the military regime that they were going to keep that legislative body, the Senate, which is partly elected and partly appointed. Now, the military appears to have changed its mind, which legal experts say indicates that the hawks have won over the doves in the military council that is running the country at the moment. At the same time, the military administration announced that they were replacing the police chief, the chief of the Special Investigations Department, and also the permanent secretary of the Ministry of Defense. They were seen as figures who were loyal to the former administration of Yingluck Shinawatra and her brother Thaksin Shinawatra. They could have been something of a bridge between the military and that side of the political divide, but they are now gone. Meanwhile, on the streets of Bangkok, there have been several protests against military rule, relatively small. The biggest was several hundred, and they stood off with police and soldiers who made a point to show that they were working together. There were small scuffles as few people, just a handful, were arrested, just as what happened yesterday. At the same time, what we're seeing is these protests gaining momentum. It's going to be very interesting to see how far the military is going to go in this situation if the protests gain traction in Bangkok.
Pakistan